So today I'm making infinitely chunky Hydras with a rotation proof combo that works so much better now. Our newest Hydra from Outlaws at Thunder Junction has both haste and trample. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today a quick video where I'm dusting off a rotation proof infinite combo and seeing how it works with some newer cards and one not so new goose. Firstly though, if you'd all be so kind as to drop a like on the video and subscribe below for future janky brews just like this one. We're just about to hit 4,000 subscribers, which totally blows my mind, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone out there for your ongoing support. But onto this deck, and our Hydras today will include Goldvein Hydra, Shivan Devastators, and our good friend, the Goose Mother. They all allow us to invest infinite mana to make these so very large. So the infinite mana combo that's still very much usable is with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Kami of Whispered Hopes, and Sleep Curse Fairy. I'll pop a link in the corner here for a previous Goose deck that I used this combo with, but today we have updated it with some newer cards. With the two creatures tucked away in your graveyard, you use your cauldron to exile them under the artifact. Then you get to use the abilities of the two cards to tap and untap infinite times to create infinite mana and make infinitely large Hydras. It is a lot easier to do than you might think. Other creatures we're using today help when we're not going infinite. So I've got Bristly Bill. It dishes out +1/+1 counters when you trigger landfall. It also has an activated ability you can potentially use with your cauldron to double counters on each Hydra you control, which is a massive added bonus in this deck. I'm running Ornery Tumblewags in the 3 mana slot. You can double counters on a creature you control when you attack with a Saddle Tumblewag. I regularly find myself kamikazeing this into a blocker just to make my goose even bigger. And finally, I'm running Voldaren Thrillseekers. When all else fails, you can fling your creatures for potentially infinite damage. The Devastator and Goose do not have trample, so this is a great way to deal with pesky blockers. Other spells today include Tyvar's Stand, Experimental Augury, and Brotherhood's End. Today I have 25 lands, and that is the deck. So once again, I was surprised about how well this deck performed. The Cauldron is fantastic at using board wipes to our advantage, and being able to make infinitely large, hasty, evasive creatures mean we can rebuild very quickly. So stay tuned until the end when I'll go over the stats and general thoughts I've had, but I've also started my Patreon. Patreon is a great way you can support the channel further. You'll get access to a Patreon only Discord server, and Patreon is where I post unseen footage that never makes YouTube, normally because it's too janky or way too wacky. Link is in the description, and a shout out to my current credit level patrons on the screen now. But back to the Hydras and onto some footage where I attempt today to go infinite with my little janky Temur brew. Alright, on the play, hand seems pretty nice. Have our Kami here, so yeah, I mean this is a pretty decent opening hand. Kami and Ornery Tumblewag is a pretty nice combo to ramp into some massive creatures late on. We'll play our Canal now. We'll fake out that we have a spell for 1 mana there, but we'll drop our Hydra as a turn 2 play. It is a 1/1. Opponent wants to kill this, I'm fine with that. We'll suddenly get 4 mana for next turn, as when this dies, you gain treasure equal to its power. Okay, opponent with a Rona. So let's just go for Kami here. Rona suggests to me some kind of legend deck, but they are on Dimir, it looks like, as they draw and discard with Rona. I love Goldvein Hydra. My first commander deck all those years ago was a Hydra deck, and this is taking me back. This card is being pushed, I think, and it's just such a threat no matter what time you play it. Opponent with a Kaito. We do have 5 mana this turn, so we've got some major Hydras if we want, or we can play our Tumblewag and get this moving. I think this is the better play because we can... Okay, as opponent loots with Rona, we can pop the counter onto the Kami here, so that can then tap for 3 mana in our second main, and we can maybe play the Goose. So not bad for us here. Goose does not have haste, so this is a great opportunity to play it as a 5/5, make ourselves a food, and yeah, opponent, say go. So it looks like they are on Dimir. They're definitely digging for something. Something's going on here. Maybe Rona is being used as a discard effect. That was a Tainted Indulgence. So it looks to me like they are probably a Reanimator deck. So got to be mindful of that. Next turn, we have a lot of mana to play with. Here comes Jace. Okay. So Jace is going to... well, it could potentially shrink down one of our creatures. That is an Atraxa in their graveyard. They've gone to mill us instead. Draw a card. So we find another Goose. Goose in multiples, not so great. We can always use the Tumblewag here to saddle up. So we have a lot of different effects, but can we win on this particular turn? They're on 18 life. I think we might be able to. We definitely want to saddle up our Tumblewag, and I don't want to be using my Kami. So what we'll do is we'll do this as x equals 1. Comes down as a 2/2 because of the Kami. We'll play the Hydra for x equals 4. It comes down as a 5/5 because of the Kami. We'll saddle up our Tumblewag with the Devastator, pop a counter on our Hydra here, and then what we can do is double the counters on that Hydra, and this should way be lethal. I mean, this is fantastic. This just shows how powerful these Hydras are. This is also showing how well these Tumblewags can do. Yeah, and we've totally smashed the opponent there on turn, I think it was 4, 5, who knows. All right, on the play here, and wow, we have our Soul Cauldron and Sleep Cursed Fairy. I do love this fairy. It was all the rage for a few weeks, a few months, but it's kind of fallen out of fashion a little bit. It does come in tapped. In this particular deck, it is solely in there for the Cauldron. Doesn't really do too much, but it will eventually start attacking as a 3/3, so not too bad. Another 1/1 Hydra onto the battlefield. Again, if they want to kill it, fair enough. But we do have our Thrill Seeker. So I want to probably try and find a way to get that in the graveyard, get Agatha onto the battlefield, and put it with a cut down so we gain a treasure out of that one. Oh, that is a Kami, sure. Kami, always a card I like to play, but I think we'll go for the Cauldron now. And we can... yeah, we can just start sort of biding our time. I guess we can just play this as a 1/1. Maybe not the greatest play here. There is a Hydra in our graveyard, so technically this Devastator is a 2/2 if the opponent doesn't notice. Preacher for our opponent, okay. So I'm not sure what they are. Looking at maybe some kind of Lifegain deck. We'll eat our Hydra with the Cauldron to make our Devastator a 2/2, so it blocks that bat. Another Devastator. Okay, well, I think what we want to do is get the Kami down here. I think we can set ourselves up for an infinite combo here. We have all the pieces. I kind of don't care if some of this stuff dies. We'll see what happens here. Obviously, exile effects are the major issue with Soul Cauldron. So I've played these kind of decks before, but it's the Goldvein Hydra that has really kind of piqued my interest to see how well we can do it. It has trample, meaning it doesn't really matter how many blockers we have. We'll block with our Kami because that being in the graveyard is great. And Elas Ilkor for our opponent, but I think what we'll do is just eat our Kami here, get that under the Cauldron. I really hope the Cauldron survives. So our Devastator here can now tap for mana if we pop it on that, but we'll go for the Fairy. I'm planning on sacking the Fairy in a second anyway. I'm planning on getting that into the graveyard, using our Thrill Seeker and taking out one of our opponent's creatures at the same time. So I'm going to attack with both. Basically, I'm going to want them to attack me with this bat. The bat is actually a slight problem, as even though we might potentially have infinite mana next turn, our Devastator in our hand does not have trample, so yeah, I mean, we'll get in there for 8 damage, take the opponent down to 10, and we can drop them down to 4. But 4 is not lethal. Let's get rid of this Elasil core for the minute. All I want them to do is attack with this bat. I guess we could have just killed the bat there. Case of the Uneaten Feast, okay. Gix is exactly what I want to see, as they only have 1 planes open. Please attack with this 1/1. I guess it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, they do get in there with a 1/1, and I'm fine with that. So I'm going to draw a few cards here. Definitely block the Preacher with our Thrill Seeker. Again, don't care if this is in my graveyard. Opponent draws a couple of cards. They need a 1 mana white spell here to deal with our Cauldron. We'll eat this Fairy. So we currently have infinite mana on this Devastator on the battlefield here. And then we have another Devastator in our hand that we can pump into. So get this right. You want to create some mana, just create some blue, untap it. It's going to be a little slow build here, as our Devastator only has 3 counters on it. I guess we can eat the Thrill Seeker from our graveyard here just to speed this along a little bit. This will also enable our Devastator to be flung. So even if they had a blocker, it wouldn't matter at all. So this is going to take a little while. We're just going to keep tapping and untapping. I think we're gaining 2 mana each time. So we just make sure that the Devastator in our hand can kill the opponent, who is only on 12 life. So whilst this is happening, I'll remind anyone who wants to check out my Patreon. The link is in the description, adding some extra content there. And also over on Twitch, I'm starting streaming again. So find me over there as well, and I'll drop a link to my Twitch in the description too. But on this game, opponent has good game dust. They can see what's going on. I'm not going to sit here too much. We'll just play our Devastator for, I think it's 14, and then we'll smash the opponent for 18. We had lethal several different ways. We can fling it as well, but opponent dies, and that is the infinite combo. Alright, on the play. Kind of get behind this hand. It's not the greatest hand in the world, but we have some early plays with our Devastators. Could do with some blue mana for the Augury. A card you don't have to put in the deck if you don't want to. I just like the idea of instant speed proliferating, plus kind of drawing cards. Opponent with a Cacophony Scamp. Okay, another Augury for us. Not great when we don't have blue mana. But we'll drop a Devastator here and get in there. I'm not really concerned with the Scamp at this exact second. We'll see how this one goes. Looks like opponent might be on mono red. So this could be a problem game for us. Are they going to sack my Scamp to kill my Devastator? It looks like they are. What happened there? I think opponent proliferated my Devastator. Okay, that's good. Yeah, they oops me. They definitely made a slight error there. Thrill Seeker. I'm just going to spread the counters around, pop the counters on the Thrill Seeker. So opponent looks like they might be slightly mana screwed. Okay, well that's a Rockfall Veil. They must have just drawn that. So they're Gruul, it looks like. Shock on my Devastator. I mean, they were always going to attempt to kill that this turn. Cauldron is nice. Cauldron starts eating the graveyards, and it can start pumping up our Thrill Seeker. So I'll definitely drop this. Question is, do we attack? Oh, wrong card. Do we attack or do we hold back? We'll just hold back for a minute. So don't forget, each of our creatures here potentially has an extra counter on it. Nothing of note in our graveyard though. So if the Thrill Seeker dies, I'm not that concerned. We can use the Cauldron to grab the Thrill Seeker's ability. So opponent's been thinking for a while here. They must be able to just destroy some of my creatures. Questing Druid for them, okay. Sure. So I'm always nervous about playing these Gruul decks. They're just so explosive from basically nothing. They did have to spend that shock earlier, killing my Devastator, and they've just used another shock to take care of this Devastator too. 2 damage, we can make it a 2-2, would be slightly pointless. So we'll just let that one go. There's nothing really we can do here, I don't think. We'd love to draw a island next turn. And we'll just continue eating from the graveyard because we can start pumping up our Thrill Seeker here. It's now a 4-4. Just in time, Brotherhood's End. With our Thrill Seeker being a 4-4, I mean, yeah, I'll take that one. We'll do 3 damage to all creatures. Our Thrill Seeker survives. So we can attack the opponent for 4. We can use the Cauldron here to make it attack for 5. That would make us sort of hands... defenses down a little bit in regards to the Cauldron, but we can fling this Thrill Seeker at any time. So opponent is on 12. Next turn, we potentially have lethal, attacking with a Thrill Seeker and then flinging it. So yeah, I mean, not too bad for us here. This is a different type of game here. This is the Thrill Seeker version of the deck here. No Hydras really. Audacity onto their Picnic Ruiner, sure. I don't know what they've got in their hand, but if they don't play a spell, they have to block this Thrill Seeker this coming turn. There's a Goose. All right, no blue mana. Fair enough. We're all in on what's on the board right now. So we'll attack with the Thrill Seeker. If they don't block, they're dead. That's pretty much it. I wonder if they see the line. They have 1 mana open. They do not block. All right, well, we'll eat the Swift Spear from their graveyard, make our Thrill Seeker a 6-6. They may well be able to have killed us next turn, so I'm really happy that we've managed to do it this turn. Unless they can gain life, instant speed, sacking the Thrill Seeker is 6 damage to our opponent's face, and we should have flung our way to victory, which we have in our little deck here, even though we didn't draw any blue mana. Alright then, on the play, the hand seems fine. Having a lot of fun with this deck today. Yeah, I mean, this is a decent hand. We'll keep this, and we'll drop the Fairy turn 1. Take a damage to do that, and see how this one goes. Opponent with a tapped Fortress there, so looks like they are on Orzhov. Okay, well, we will, I guess, play the Devastator as a 1-1. I just think you want to drop these when you can. Devastator not as good as the Goldvein Hydra, which I seem to have a bit of an issue drawing today. But yeah, looks like we're up against Orzhov. And Deep Cavern Bat is going to probably take... I would take the Kami. Brotherhood's End I'm obviously not going to use because it will just clear my board. They took the Brotherhood's End, fair enough. Alright, well, didn't expect that at all, to be honest. Let's drop Hydra with our Cavernous Souls. We'll play the Kami. And let's just hold back a second. I kind of want them to attack with the Bat. Get that off the board. Phyrexian Arena, fair enough. So I wonder if they're a Esper build with the Arena and Raffine. We'll see. They're probably definitely playing Shelly in their deck. Alright, so we have 5 mana. Really want to get the Kami down if I can, but I think the Goose is better right now. Just drop a massive threat onto the board. It is a 6-6. We make a load of food as well. They go down to 19, so they're going to need a removal spell for the Goose. Otherwise, this could potentially see us to victory here. Now the Fairy as well is interesting in that can start attacking soon. Rush of Dread makes me sack 2 of my creatures. Okay, so they are a combo deck? Who knows? Who knows? Sure, and we might as well attack with the Goose. Sacking a food along the way, drawing a card. Oh, there is a Goldvein Hydra. Nice. Now, the Hydra has haste, so probably can wait till next turn to play that. We'll play the Kami now, though. Opponent down to 12. I mean, they are facing lethal next. I think they're facing a lethal attack next turn. If not, it's very close. Yeah, it's going to be lethal with the Phyrexian Arena, so we'll see what they do. They have 5 mana. They have a creature land up there. So this deck is kind of janky. It's don't go thinking this is going to be, it's going to break the meta or anything like that. This is for those out there who have some of these cards and just want to do something a little bit off meta on the ladder. So that's where I'm going today. We did find an experimental augury, which is nice because that's an instant speed proliferation. They may not expect that, but I think we should go for the win here because they're going to have to block with Miro if we play the Gold Vein Hydra as a 5/5. So I think we should do this. I'm not sure why Miro's in their deck. Miro, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Just trying to think whether to hold open the augury, play it as an X equals 3, and I think we'll just go for the win. And if the opponent wants to destroy my Hydra, then at least we can gain a load of treasure. It's exile effects that bother me. I would be bothered if I saw a Summonful. But opponent has played a couple of creatures, so hopefully they don't have that in their hands. They do go down to 3 life though. Okay, farewell. Sure. So we find a fairy. Alright, augury. I mean, we have 3 hits off the top of our deck here to try and find a way to win the game. And 3 lands is pretty bad, but I think Sokendan is lethal. We can just channel this, make 2/1/1s, attack the opponent, and they are going to die in their upkeep from Phyrexian Arena. And yeah, that was an odd game there. An odd end to an odd game. Okay, so let's check the stats for this deck over on untapped.gg, and as you can see, our infinitely chunky Hydra deck here went 6-1. Not bad at all. We did have a loss, didn't show it on the video as it was a very long game that I just couldn't draw any lands. It was very unentertaining. It was a banned deck, and yeah, we got trounced by our opponent, but it just did take a very long time. So full disclosure there, did have a loss, but 6-1 is good. Also on the plate quite a lot, so a little bit lucky there. Didn't come up against Convoke, didn't come up against Mono Black or anything, but can only beat who is put in front of us. Let's check the actual deck though, and yeah, here it is. Here are our Hydras. I absolutely love these cards. Obviously the Goose Mother doesn't have haste, which is a slight downside there, but it does quite a lot otherwise. It also has flying, which is quite evasive. If you wanted to be a little less janky, you don't have to play these combo cards here. I would always go for the Kami though, and probably the Soul Cauldron just to keep the graveyards clear. These 2 cards do not need to be in the deck if you didn't want a combo. I do like Bristly Bill and the Tumblewag. It's kind of our plan B. Along with these cards, you could bring in things like the Orzhov, Roaring Earth, or Kodama. They're all pretty acceptable cards, but I really don't want to play with cards that are rotating out at the moment if I can help it. And Roaring Earth, Kodama, Thundering Raiju, although they work really well with modified creatures, they are going to be rotating out, which is why they are not in this deck. To push Bristly Bill even further, you could put some cards in like Maestro's Theatre. Didn't really want to play around with the land too much. Bristly Bill is a plan B, not a plan A here. And also the thing with Bristly Bill, what I was really also trying to do was get this into the graveyard so we can use the Cauldron and its activated ability here. There are other cards I just popped in the sideboard here you might want to play. If you want some more removal, go for something like Kami's Flare. Again, it's rotating out why it's not in the deck. And we do produce infinite mana, so any card that does X damage or creates X of something is going to work well in this deck. And what better card than making 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 rats with Song of Tottentans, pop this in the deck, maybe in place of something like Brotherhood's End or the Augury if you really like this combo, or even the Landfall card in Bristly Bill or the Tumblewag. So I think the deck could be made more janky, less janky, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out and had a lot of fun with this one. So to check out my stats for this video and all the decks I play, the link to my untapped.gg is listed in the description, and that's where you'll also find a link to download the deck tracker for yourself. You'll get to track your stats, see the top decks being played, and maybe find a deck or two that you can make with your collection. It is all over there on untapped.gg. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, supporting the channel as we grow, and I'll catch you again in the next video.